Hey, welcome here to Edge Radio. That was Air by Pretty in Pink. And welcome to Media Mothership, broadcasting out of these wonderful studios here on Edge Radio, 99.3 FM in Nipaluna, Hobart, Tasmania. And on this show, we explore everything in and around the world of media, in particular how it can shape for some people out there, their understanding of the world around us, for good or ill. And I often think about that idea of shaping the world around us, in particular when you've never traveled somewhere and you've only ever seen it in the movies, and you have this rather distorted, sometimes, view of that location. So in today's show, we're going to talk a bit about that distortion idea by starting up with a interview in a few seconds with Hannah Rogers from the notorious meme site Sad Book Memes. She's quite a meme creator and innovator herself. We'll hear about her process and her ideas around creating memes on Sad Book Memes. And then we'll dive into, as always, the next part, Act 2 of Three Skeleton Key, the classic 1950 suspense radio drama starring Vincent Price, the one and only. In this act, we'll be looking at the idea of the inciting incident, as previously we'd left off with our three heroic, possibly, lighthouse keepers watching a boat crash itself against the rocks. And what we're about to see next unfold in Act 2 is the inciting incident. However, before we get to Three Skeleton Key, let's dive first into the world of memes with meme creator Hannah Rogers, part of the notorious Sad Book Meme site. Right, hi everyone. Now we've got a special guest episode treat. It's a great pleasure to bring on Hannah Rogers, station manager for Edge Radio, who has a great alternative lifestyle creative pursuit on Instagram called Sad Book Memes. And I've particularly wanted to bring Hannah on to talk about the process of making this extraordinary viral page. Hi, Hannah.
Oh, I wouldn't call it a viral page, but thank you. Thank you, Craig. Great to be on one of my favorite shows on Edge Radio.
It's a pleasure to have you on finally.
Yeah, so memes. Are you a meme fan?
I try to collect memes to then drop into conversations with my kids to try and evoke a response from them. So I'll be browsing through Imgur or Instagram, I'll try to grab some. So yeah, but I am not a meme creator. I've only ever created one meme, which was for the Japan trips, where I did the most fascinating guy in the world. You know, usually I don't think about honors, but when I do, it's honors in journalism and media communications.
Yep.
So it was like, and then the other one was the Dragon Ball one.
Great.
Soft power, 90,000 levels for a soft power trip to Japan. But I'm more interested to hear about your meme creations, because you're in the middle of Sad Book Memes. So take me through, how long have you been doing on Instagram Sad Book Memes? When did this start?
I've been doing Sad Book Memes on Instagram for, I think, 2.5 months now. Maybe?
So not a long time. And I want to emphasize that because it's really popular.
It's like popular in a niche way. So it's called Niche Book Memes, is the community that I feel a part of on Bookstagram, as we call it. So Bookstagram, like how they must have a animeogram, they must have all kinds of different of these things. Catstagram, but Bookstagram is about books, and then within Bookstagram there are subcategories within that, and I kind of find myself sitting within the niche book meme, which means I'm referencing a lot of literary fiction, a lot of books that are popular books, but mainly with a certain demographic. are the kind of books that I'm referencing in my memes.
Yeah.
And then the memes themselves are referencing niche TV shows or niche, weird memes that aren't mainstream as well. So it's a niche within a niche in the meme culture.
And I think what's interesting about that point is that there's so much insider knowledge. There's so much.
It's an in-joke, isn't it?
In-joke knowledge, yeah.
So much in-joke, yes.
So here we have sad book memes. Obviously, by the name, it seems to suggest that what you're creating are images of books which are sad.
Yes. So the books that I personally enjoy a lot to read are sad books. I love sad books. They make me feel happy and connected with the world. And I thought, wouldn't it be funny if I made jokes about books that are very sad and serious? And it turns out other people thought that that would be funny too. I was inspired by another meme creator. I'll get their name. Hang on. I was inspired by a meme creator called Library Finds, who does a lot of memes about Ishiguro, who wrote Clara and the Sun. I've forgotten every book I've ever read now that I'm on here. The Buried Giant. They're not even the most popular books. What's the one about the clone people? That one. It's called.
Because you've created a meme on that very thing.
I have. I've created so many and now I can't find it.
Through your meme.
Never Let Me Go. Never Let Me Go. So like, they did a lot of memes about Ishiguro, and I was like, oh, I love Ishiguro. Maybe I should make Ishiguro memes. And I'm like, that's probably too niche within a niche to just do book memes about one specific person. Although I do have a meme friend that just does memes about Shirley Jackson, who I know you have a big connection to on this show.
Yeah.
It's Shirley Jackson memes.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd broaden it out, and then I thought I'd do sad girl book memes. So just do books that were written by women or that feature sad women protagonists, which is an area of books that I really enjoy. My logo on sad book memes is an unnamed character from My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Tessa Monskving. I'm not quite sure if I know how to pronounce her name correctly, which is a really popular book about a woman that slowly gets more and more depressed and doesn't want to leave her apartment for pretty much a year. So that's the official talisman of sad book memes is her.
What fascinates me here, and that's a very vivid example of the experience of reading sad books, right? The main protagonist, stays in her room and
in My Year in so she just stays in the premise of My Year of Rest and Relaxation is the character knows that over time you completely regenerate yourself. Like your cells are always regenerating. So she wants to stay in her room until she's completely regenerated and becomes a fresh soul, pretty much.
Wow.
And she does this through all kinds of kooky, weird ways of staying in her room.
But it's a kind of, deep meditative dive.
Yes. Into isolation, loneliness, and the current experience of women in America and all kinds of stuff. So that's a book I memify a lot, and there's lots that you can do, surprisingly, with that.
The thing about this I love is that, again, you're taking on paper a very meditative, serious space, but then you'll put it on Squidward's button from SpongeBob.
Yes.
As a kind of... as a kind of ...
Yeah.
And again, it's that moment.
It's
that's
like
so
it's a template that you build from. So the Squidward's button meme it starts with "I really wish," and I can't remember what the original Squidward's button said. I don't know. SpongeBob would go away, probably something like that. But I took it and then I put this one was the most popular version that I did. It says, "I really wish that Boris from the Goldfinch had a different life because he was a really sweet little kid." So just reflecting on a character that I know that a lot of people would like from that book by Donna Tartt and memifying it into Squidward is ridiculous, and people find that funny. Another one that was really popular recently has been riffing off the idea of Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Yes.
Which is always a slightly boring conversation that comes up every year on in the meme worlds. But I've been applying that to other books that Christmas books, but not A Christmas Carol, like dark Christmas books. So that's been fun and popular as well. been playing around with a lot of White Lotus at the moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, do you find pressure to remain topical? That is, what creates a good meme? I guess we could do this thing of like top 3 tips for creating memes, but it does seem the ones you just mentioned there, it's all something timely. The timeliness is very important.
A little bit, yeah. But I think like people kind of are like, oh, that meme again, that's funny. I don't know. I'm not doing it to like get a huge following or anything like that. So I think if I was trying, then I would be referencing, books and TV shows that are very of the moment. But I'm trying, I just pick them at random, and I just use a lot of like meme generator apps. Sometimes I just think of a TV show and I'm like, do they ever read a book in that show? Let me see if I've got a quote. Or if I don't know.
So does the idea usually come from as you're reading a book, your back of your mind, you're kind of thinking, oh, I wonder if there's a image here, because you were doing like, I just noticed the one about the worst book club ever.
Yes.
Right. What was the origins of that? Did that come from watching?
So worst book club ever came from White Lotus. And there's 4 characters that go on a holiday together, 2 couples, and they're constantly fighting through their brunches that they have together. And I saw a photo of them all sitting around a table, and I thought that looks kind of like a book club. There's something in this. And then I thought if I did a little description of how each of them would react to a book, that could maybe be quite funny. So because they all have quite pronounced personalities in the show, so being able to build on it that way.
Because what I enjoy about that is the semiotics of it, that there's a lot of intertextuality there.
Yeah, you have to get book clubs and the fights that you typically have in book clubs. You have to know the characters from White Lotus, and have paid attention enough to imagine them now in this new scenario. Yeah, it's a bit of a brain jump.
And
not everyone's going to get it.
No,
yeah.
no.
And that's fine.
And part of the reward is getting it, right? I think I can look at many of those memes and know there is an in-joke there, but not be able to arrive at what that was. But on the surface, be able to appreciate the kind of, there is obviously a juxtaposition here, but the impact of that is lost on me. What's the most, there's this term that Henry Jenkins talks about with comic books, where he'll say that comic books are full of radical intertextuality because you have these histories within a Superman cover that can go back decades, and it's pulling upon all these radically intertextual kind of cuts across time and development. What's the most radically intertextual meme you think you've created? What's the one that requires someone doing the most homework?
The most jumping. Let me have a little scroll and I'll tell you.
Because you create about 5 sad memes a day?
So I do 2 to 3 posts a day, but some of them have multiple memes within a meme. So it might have a few to scroll through that are on a different theme.
That's a lot of memes per day ratio, isn't it?
It is a lot of memes per day. Like there's a few that require a few little jumps. Like there's this one that wasn't that popular that I did, probably because it was a bit too niche, which was referencing J.K. Rowling and her turfism. So it's a picture from Narnia. So it's Aslan in Narnia, the lion. And it says at the top, when the magic book author, who we don't talk about, tries to gatekeep the book's lore, and then Aslan the lion is saying, we do not cite the deep magic to me, which I was there when it was written. So it's referring to she's writing the witch. So you've got to kind of figure out who I'm talking about, which isn't that hard to do. And then it's referencing a witch. So I guess that's a bit intertextual.
That's good though.
What else
but
have I got?
It's also making a kind of moral statement within it as well. Like there's a bigger... And it's, again, that juxtaposition, taking 2 franchises.
But then, like, I'll do something really stupid, like Ellen Fernante's My Brilliant Friend is a book that often gets talked about in the sad book community as being a really beautiful meditation on friendship and growing apart and childhood and marriage and all these other issues. And I just called it My Brilliant Frond and turned the friend into a fern instead. So it's just like a deeply serious and great book that then becomes stupidified. Yeah, I tend to like the absurd. I don't know what the most intertextual one. I really like that question. Oh, maybe it's this one. Okay, you'd be a Dune fan. I've never read Dune. Is it worth reading? It's
totally.
It's very long.
Yeah.
I get put off by long books. Anyway, a little while ago, there was a big thing in the meme community of Heidi Klum dressing as a worm to a Halloween party. Did you miss this? See, that's the thing with the meme community. If you're not part of one area, you just miss it. Heidi Klum always dresses up every year for Halloween, and her costumes get increasingly elaborate. Once she dressed up as herself but aged, which was amazing. Whoa. She gets like huge prosthetics and all kinds of stuff. And I'm hiding the meme so that you can react. So this year she dressed up as a worm, and I thought, oh, what is a book that has a worm? And there's June, and then I was like, oh, I could just put her on the cover of June. And then I thought I could take this one step further, and I looked through all of the books that are in the June series, and there's one that's called God Emperor of June, which is referring to the worms, and June sounds a little bit like Klum, so it becomes God Emperor of Klum, and then the worm is Heidi Klum on the cover, which is very, who's the movie guy that does The Thing? It's very Thing-ish. To create. So, yeah.
It was very kind of body horror, David Cronenberg.
Oh, 100%. Like, and then she unzips herself later and she's wearing like a model outfit underneath her face. Yeah.
That actually is more than just getting a meme generator app. That one...
No, that one I was photoshopping. Yeah.
Yes. There's some good talent there.
Oh, thank you. It's still using the meme apps, though. You can just use, the magic wand and get rid of backgrounds and stuff. And
you should go pro.
Maybe I should. But it's nice, and people are starting to message saying that they have read a book based on a meme that I made.
Really?
And I've started reading books based on people saying, oh, this reminds me of this other thing. So it creates a nice little community. Very wholesome.
So in terms of some of the comments you've received, I've got quite a couple of questions about comments. So... have you ever been surprised by a comment which completely took your meme in a different direction, that had a really weird approach to it, or did something kind of like, oh, this means this kind of thing?
No. Everyone's pretty friendly on my little 750-page person following.
So you got 750 at the moment, which is
750,
huge. 2.5 months. Is that the biggest?
It's been about 100 people a week, so that's nice. No completely weird comments. Someone stole one of my memes.
Oh, wow. That's a recognition in a sad way.
And then underneath the stolen meme, someone had picked up on a spelling error that I'd had. So that was fun.
So tell me through. How do you find out?
It was completely by accident. So in my early memeing days, I didn't put my tag name on the meme.
Oh, you meant to do that?
Well, if you don't want your meme stolen, but a meme's a meme. I don't
How do
really
you create, like in Photobook, you put like a water?
Yeah, just put a watermark on it that says.
What's the watermark that?
I just use one that says @sadbookmemes over the top, and then. But before I did that, it got taken by another it seems like it was run by a bot book page.
Oh, wow.
And then underneath, everyone was having an argument about which you're meant to use in the context of that one.
So you're as in Y-O-U-R or Y-O-U apostrophe.
I think I had used the wrong one. I think they were right. But that didn't get picked up on mine. It was just on the bots page. So that was funny.
So they took a bullet.
So I messaged them saying, could they take it down? And they never replied. And then I noticed that they'd taken a bunch of other ones too from other book people that I follow.
Stolen memes. Yeah,
stealing
I see
memes.
That in Reddit occasionally.
But isn't a meme's always kind of stolen though? Because you're like using a template that someone's made that's a screenshot of someone's TV show, and it's...
Yeah, it's already kind of out there. It's too late to claim proprietary copyright.
Yeah, but I think, to answer your question, they're also like internally connected. That I think if someone just doesn't get it, they just move on. Most of the time, they'll just suggest other books that I could have referenced using the same meme. So having a play around with the format as well, which is nice. Yeah.
Now, are there memes which you developed and thought this is gold and have just bombed?
I've had the opposite happen.
Memes that you thought are crap.
My most popular meme at the moment, at time of recording, is a deer being interviewed.
I did see this one.
And it says, "Deer from the Secret History says what really happened in the forest that day." And I thought that was really stupid, and I almost didn't post it. And then that's my most popular meme.
So
it's just a deer. The image is a deer being interviewed. And in the Secret History, there's a whole bunch of dark things that happen in the forest. So I thought it would be funny if a deer then comes and is interviewed.
Doubted at first. You thought, this is just too obvious? Or
I thought I was like, someone else has probably made this joke. I even said that in the comment underneath. I said, if I ever make a joke that you think someone else has made, just let me know. Because it's just that thought that you have as someone that makes stuff that this isn't an original thought. But, It's
so obvious. Yeah, you don't want to be accused of stealing. You don't know.
So that one was an unexpected win. A one that I thought was going to be good but wasn't. I thought this one would get more following. So it says elf-free zone and has an elf through a cross. And that says nobody Numenorians, referring to Lord of the Rings. In Lord of the Rings, the Numenorian people don't like elves. Might have been too niche. Maybe I don't have enough Lord of the Rings followers. If I was and Lord of the Rings is probably not an exactly sad book meme to make. So yeah, that one didn't get as much.
It's not. I mean, I guess the good thing about that deer interview one is it is a bit of a juxtaposition in terms of the deer interview image is clearly not at all setting up that book, right?
No.
It's for a different space. And the funny thing is that juxtaposition, whereas the no elf space works, but it works literally,
yeah,
right, as opposed to symbolically.
And I really think it's the Lord of the Rings reference that's getting. I think if I was a meme page that did more fantasy, although the Dune one went down really well, so it's hard to say. Yeah,
Dune one went down well again,
but it was a Dune image, so people were probably expecting Dune.
Absurd as well, a little bit of absurdity. Whereas
and I got that one at a good moment. Like I posted that very shortly after the photos of Heidi Klum came out, so it was a timely meme. Yeah.
And in terms of comments, you said a lot of people are very positive about it. Do you enter into conversations with some of the people?
Oh yeah, I've made some new friends. Some new friends on the internet that message me and share. A lot of my followers are American and assume that I'm American, which is a fascinating little experiment in itself. So I found that if I share something that's Australian, sometimes I'll get questions about what that book is, and I hope that means that then that Australian author will get more interest overseas. But also people will send me memes that they think are funny because I just share other people's memes up in the stories as well, so that's nice.
You know, and what I like about this is that, occasionally here talking about being in Australia, let alone in Tasmania, is occasionally the local newspaper, the Mercury, will run a piece on, the biggest influencers in the social media scene. And usually it's someone that's doing a fitness page, or someone that's doing beauty product testing. And what I like about this is I think you could position yourself within Tasmania as one of the biggest influencers around book culture, and it would be wonderful to be featured locally. I think...
Oh, I don't know. With my 750 followers of niche memeage, who knows where it can go. 2.5 months. But it's funny, isn't it? The connections. And people are like, oh, I read that book because you memed it. And I was like, oh, I actually don't like that book that much. I just made it into a meme. But great, you go you. A meme is not an endorsement all the time.
Because it is such an unexpected avenue for entry points. In terms of normally you'd think an entry point into a book would be from a book review or from
which is what most of Bookstagram is. It's a lot of book reviews, a lot of pretty, cups of tea and your book and your dog kind of setups.
So we have Instagram is the name of the platform. Bookstagram is just the category of people that like books.
On Instagram, yeah.
Yeah.
Like Foodstagram or any other kind of Stagram. There's also Book Talk.
Like you have Reddit, but then you have subreddits.
It's just a hashtag, yeah.
It's a hashtag.
Yeah.
I knew that.
Yeah, so it's just a hashtag that connects them all together, which is kind of like a subreddit, yeah.
How do you hashtag your images? What's your tip for hashtagging?
Oh, I just have like a go-to set. I don't know if anyone actually checks hashtags, but I just have a go-to set that I kind of copied off some other people, which is library memes, book memes, sad book memes, books of Instagram, Bookstagram, Book Talk, because people share their TikToks on Instagram, and then I'll do the name of the author and the name of the book if I'm referring to a specific book.
Have you ever had the author?
Oh, I did once.
No!
Well, not quite the author, close enough. So one of the, Bibles of sad book life is a book called A Little Life. And A Little Life is a very depressing book that's very long. That tells the story of a few characters. And I made a joke about where there's a large book and it says A Little Life, which looks actually quite similar in length to what A Little Life is. And then I have a picture of a small book that says A Little Life if nothing bad happened. and it's like 100 pages long. And that one got liked by the A Little Life page. So not the author, but they have their own officiated page because that book's being made into a play, and they make.
That's great.
So they also share things like tattoos that people have got. So that was nice to be close to the author.
Totally. Look, I think if the community of that piece, who are often much more gatekeepery than the author themselves, if those gatekeepers have embraced your meme, it's the stamp of official approval.
It is. I'd love it if some of the other authors I like got a chuckle out of some of my memes, but they're too famous. They won't care about little old memes.
Yeah, because I guess you could post this on their page or something like. Can you reach out?
Try and get their attention.
Yeah, it's a bit desperate, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. Nah. I'm not in it for the meme fame. Just in it for the meme lols. And see where it goes. Yeah.
Well, look, ending up, is there any advice you have for some of our young up-and-coming meme artists that you would like to give now that you've established yourself as a senior figure in this field?
Oh, okay. Now that I've been doing memeing for 2.5 months and am an expert, I think, there's lots of good free meme-making apps, which are great. I use Meme Generator a lot.
Meme Generator, right.
Which is really good for being able to do some like basic Photoshop as well as it has some inbuilt memes. So if I've got no ideas, I'll just scroll through and see if I see something that sparks my interest and see if I can apply a few books to it. Other than that, I just try and I guess that one about the deer is a good example. Often your first stupid idea is fine and who cares? So I just post it. Following a few trends or things that are popular at the moment, like working on the White Lotus after the season finale has been quite good. When Spotify Wrapped was on, I did a few Spotify memes.
Yes.
But also people like a little bit of a flashback, so that's okay as well. And I think if you're making stuff that's overall silly and not directed at being negative towards a particular author, that seems to go down quite well. I've noticed a lot of the book meme community does a lot of just posting about books that they like and making some generalized jokes about genres and things that they don't like, and that tends to work better than just being like, this is better than that or something like that.
Yeah, rather than getting lost in the weeds of kind of the racial politics of Tolkien and the
maybe there's some low-hanging fruit that you can knock at, but for the most part it's about being mostly positive and inclusive in your memeaging. Yeah. Another thing that is good to do is a lot of these meme generators have a lot of male-dominated imagery. Have you ever noticed this about memes? Most of the people that are in the memes are men. So being able to diversify that a little bit has been a little sub-project that I've done. So looking at your memes and figuring out what is the dominant face that you are showing and what does that mean.
Because it's such a shame, because there is that one that's I think still popular now, the guy with his girlfriend turning around to check out the other hot girl.
Yes, I've done that one.
Male-centric. And it would be good, to flip that somehow, but you're kind of stuck with that template. But I guess you could put different books on their heads.
You could put different books in their heads. There's another one that I like where it's an old painting and it's this woman kind of leaning away from a guy on a train and he's talking to her. And it's called The Annoying Man. I think that's how you'd find that one. That one works quite well for being like, oh, he's a guy that thinks he knows everything about a book, and then there's a woman leaning out. So there's a few.
What are the most? Have you found progressive memes, the most the ones that you think are kind of also representing identities? I'm glad there's a meme of that identity.
Oh, I don't know. I'll have to look more into it. I think for the most part, probably every other meme that I do is one that I've just made up myself by Googling a stock image and things like that. So being able to bring in a person or a body shape or an animal that memes for deers that aren't represented as much is fun.
It's very clever. Again, great juxtapositions throughout. Very clever kind of points you're raising. Future directions, where to from here?
Where to from here? I don't know. I think Christmas memes are, running thick at the moment, so we'll do a bunch of those. A lot of people on Bookstagram have reading goals, so I've been planning a few memes around reading goals because I personally don't set reading goals.
These are X number of books.
Yeah, by the end of the year I will read 20, 30, whatever books. So a few jokes around that has been quite fun. I'm sure there'll be a bunch of new books coming out. I found out recently that a bunch of books that I've read this year are being made into films next year, so that'll be a nice juxtaposition to put forward potentially. I want to do more memes about the Grinch. I have a little notes app. I want to do one that's about, Howl by Allen Ginsberg.
Yes,
it's a poem.
I do. Yes, it's a great poem. Yeah.
It's a great poem, and I feel like there's something in that with Howl by Allen Ginsberg, the beat poet, and Howl from Howl's Moving Castle. I've just been playing around with this, and I can't figure out a way of connecting these two yet. If you've got any ideas, let me know. Howl and Howl. Howl. There's something in it. It hasn't resulted in anything yet.
Well, you're hearing it live, the creative process in action here, folks.
Such depth. Yep.
So thank you for bringing us into the magic of memes, Hannah. It's been a real pleasure. And if you haven't checked it out, everyone, do check out Sad Book Memes on Instagram. Are we only on Instagram at this point? We're not
only on Instagram. I was thinking of making TikToks, but I probably won't. Yeah.
But check it out. Sounds like there's a lot of great content coming up next year with some books going into movies. What books are those going into movies?
Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. It's a time travel historical fiction book in a similar kind of vein to like the one set in Scotland that's name I've forgotten, but it's about
Outlanders.
Yeah, it's a bit like Outlander, but it's about slavery. But it's not too heavy, but it also is. It's really good. It's a really good book by Octavia E. Butler, who was a 70s sci-fi writer.
Cool.
That was kind of overlooked at the time, but getting a lot of popularity now.
There you go. Well, I've added a book to my list, Hannah. Thank
another
you
one
so
is
much.
Elaine, which is another book that I talk about.
Elaine, yes, that's
which I think is going to make a terrible movie, but we'll see. Yeah.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Kindred, Elaine, E-I-L.
Yeah, Eileen, I think. Yeah.
So thank you so much, Hannah.
Right. That was a wonderful journey into the world of meme creations with Hannah Rogers, creator of Sad Book Memes. You can find out more about the Sad Book Memes by going on to Instagram and searching Sad Book Memes. Hannah and her sister Miranda also have a great show on Edge that you can listen to every Wednesday, 10 a.m., Millennial Think. So it's worth also heading over Wednesday, 10 a.m., to listen to Millennial Think with Hannah and Miranda, going into broader discussions around books and areas of book-related popular culture. But that's Sad Book Memes. Hopefully it's given you some inspiration, thoughts to create your own memes. Go check them out again, or Hannah out on Instagram, Sad Book Memes. Also, thanks a lot, Ollie and Jenny, for reaching out on the SMS line here on Edge Radio to say thanks for this content. Yeah, a great interview again with Hannah, so well worth following up with that. If you would like to reach out to us here on Media Mothership, you can message us via the SMS here in studio on 0488 11707, or you can shoot a message out over the various streaming pathways we're going out onto, Twitch or YouTube on Media Mothership. A bit of a change of gear now, going from meme creation to dramatic storytelling, in particular picking up the idea of the inciting elements within fiction storytelling. And I want to look further at that drama we were exploring last week, Three Skeleton Key, 1950 radio drama with Vincent Price, and we got up to the inciting incident. So before I go any further, what is the inciting incident? There's a great definition provided by Jerry B. Jenkins, who's author of over 200 books, including 21 New York Times bestsellers. He has a really quite useful YouTube channel, and here he is defining what the inciting incident is.
First, what do I mean by an inciting incident? It's an event that irrevocably changes life for your main character. It does more than upend his status quo. It forces him to either act or face dire, life-changing consequences. If he can merely choose to ignore whatever's happened and return to life as normal, that's not an inciting incident, at least not one worthy of an entire novel. Actually, everything in your story should incite something, and compel readers to stay with you.
So we'll just pause it there. So with that idea that an inciting incident should be a super disruptive moment, something which is going to completely change their life, and later on, Jenkins goes on to give the example of The Martian, for instance, where the astronaut gets stranded there. The inciting incident is the rest of his crew thought he'd died and have left him abandoned on Mars. Inciting incident. He is stuck on Mars. So let's go to Three Skeleton Key now. Again, 1950 classic radio drama. We'd left off at the point where basically we'd established the characters' lives, who they were previous to this, their key defining properties. And again, the theory being behind good storytelling was make sure you do spend a little bit of time establishing who the characters are before you go into what we're going to unravel now, the inciting incident. So we're going to pick up at this point where basically we've had two tropes so far in the 8 minutes of Three Skeleton Key. The first trope is the lighthouse point, right? The classic image of a lighthouse on a kind of rocky outcrop ledge of a coastline. So this is where the story is set, in this lighthouse point. And we've had them spot what they thought what is an abandoned ship, or kind of ghost ship. But in this sense, it was an abandoned ship. So we have that other second trope of an abandoned ship that's crashing into the shores of where this lighthouse is. So we're going to pick it up there with Vincent Price now and his two fellow lighthouse keepers trying to make sense of this boat crashing against their shores.
What? I say, do you think she'll ground this time? Huh?
This is impossible. Absolutely impossible.
What?
Here, take my glasses. They're better than yours.
All right. And what is it you're... I had to focus, and then my breath froze in my throat. The decks were swarming with a dark brown carpet that looked like a gigantic fungus, but undulating. And on the masts and yards, the guys and all were hundreds, no thousands, I don't know, an endless number of enormous rats.
See them?
Yes, I see them.
Now we know why she's derelict.
Yes, now we know.
What are you two doing? Here, give me a look.
Yes, give him the glasses. Take a good look, chatterbox. Give you something to talk about.
She's still heading for us.
Yes.
She's going to turn. She'd better turn soon.
Suppose she doesn't.
You mean suppose she piles up on the key?
It's low tide.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Where's all the conversation, August, huh? Here, want the glasses again?
No.
Want another look?
No, no.
She's still coming on.
Go away! Go away!
Turn, will you? Turn, I say, I pray you, turn!
She's cracking up. The rats. Look, on the water. Like a carpet.
They're swimming.
Sure, they're swimming. Those are ship's rats.
But they're swimming for the rocks.
The door below. It's open.
Come on. Down we went, racing down the stone stairs, taking them 3 and 4 at a time. Scared? You bet we were scared.
August, you get the windows. Maybe they can climb. We don't know.
Right, Chief. But hurry, hurry!
Look. See them?
No. Oh, yes, I do. Up at the other end of the rock.
Look at them.
Millions.
They smell us. Here they come. Close the door.
Can't it stop?
Here. Let me.
Oh, move, you move.
Heave.
Made it.
Holy. That was close.
One guy in. Look.
All right, we'll take a pause there. So what we've had here is, as Jenkins would explain, the arrival of the inciting incidents, an occurrence which has disrupted everything and has caused a kind of irrevocable change in the status quo. Jenkins goes on to explain 5 key traits of making a strong inciting incident. So let's listen to these 5 traits, and we'll break it down in terms of what we've just listened to on 3 Skeleton Keys to say, how strong is this as an inciting incident? This is the swarm of rats trope. I guess we've arrived at the, according to TV tropes, the swarm of rats inciting incident. So to just read from TV tropes, one of my favorite sources of information and insight into media culture, they define swarm of rats. They go on to explain that the rodents are widely reviled, but not very threatening. After all, anyone can set a mousetrap. So how do writers make them a legitimate threat? By having a very, very large swarm of them all at once. One rat isn't scary, but a huge wave of rats eating possibly their victim alive, one bite at a time. Horrifying. Goes on TV tropes to say. TV tropes goes on to explain that rats and mice are perfect for the huge swarm treatment, since, as any exterminator will tell you, they tend to breed a lot and really fast. Also, as omnivores, they can and will eat meat, sometimes even if said meat is still alive. And rats in particular have strong enough teeth to chew through metal, and they spread diseases too. All that said, getting actual live rats to swarm in front of a camera, if you're doing a movie, is a truly scary way to face a challenge. So what we're looking at here is in 3 Skeleton Key, and that's TV Tropes' definition of the swarm of rats trope in literature and fiction. And they highlight 3 Skeleton Key as an example of this trope, which we are about to have our listening pleasure assaulted by. So 3 Skeleton Key, and this is the inciting incident, is the swarm of rats approaching the lighthouse, and we've left them just at that point where they've closed the door. One has gotten through, and even that one, as we'll hear, is quite difficult. But let's listen now to how this, as an inciting incident, they've seen the swarm of rats and they're about to face them, would break down in terms of Jenkins's theory of the 5 traits of a strong inciting incident.
Here are 5 traits to look for. First, it occurs early in the story. Regardless what novel structure you use, your inciting incident works best when introduced early, because naturally the earlier you establish an irreversible course for your character, the earlier you captivate your reader. So the sooner your inciting incident happens, the better. In a 3-act structure, for instance, it should appear in Act 1. Now, if you're not sure what I mean by novel structure...
So we're pretty much at that point now. We're 8 minutes in, and at the 10-minute mark, we've had the swarm of rats appear, and we've had the impulse now for the remaining 30 minutes. So we're just at the end of that Act 1 structure, as Jenkins highlights, so that the audience now is 10 minutes in, established characters, got a bit of a background in who they are, and now we've had the inciting incident early on. And let's hear what he says is the second important quality of an inciting incident.
The incident is now gone. There's no going back to the... Second, a strong inciting incident disrupts the status quo. The life your main character knew before the inciting incident is now gone. There's no going back to the way things were. He has no choice but to see things through. All right, the third trait.
So just before we go into the third one, so the second one disrupts the status quo. The idea here being it's not just a rat they can take care of. It's a huge, how do they describe it, carpet, seething, undulating brown carpet of rats which have let themselves loose onto their small rocky outcrop of the lighthouse, and they're being swarmed by it. It's completely disrupted the dull pedestrian life that the first 10 minutes had set up, and unleashed genuine terror and horror into how they will survive this enormous swarm of rats that are attacking them. So the third quality Jenkins cites, we'll listen to now.
Afraid of an inciting incident. It's outside your main character's control. He doesn't create the situation. He doesn't want the situation, but he's forced to react to it or face the consequences. 4.
So this certainly is the case, as we heard leading up to the scene of the rats disgorged upon the rocks and lighthouse. The Vincent Price character was fearful. This boat has to turn away or it's going to crash against these rocks, which it does. And outside of their control, there's no way they were stuck helplessly watching through their binoculars this boat moor itself, crash itself against the rocks. There was nothing they could do. There was no way they could control and prevent this from occurring. They are a victim of this swarm of rats trope about to be unleashed. So again, full mark so far in terms of the inciting incident. It is occurring early, it's disrupting the status quo, and it's outside their control. Let's see the final 2 inciting incidents criteria.
4th, an inciting incident is high stakes and life-altering. Unless it threatens to change the main character's life, your inciting incident won't hold your readers long. The story will only frustrate them. Finally,
so certainly as we read in the Swarm of Rats TV trope article, the idea that we're seeing this huge swarm, so it's an enormous number of rats, but also that the fear is they could be eaten alive by them. They will be either chewed through the metal, chewed through the wood, and get at them because of the huge number of rats which they're stuck with. And they're stuck on this lighthouse, on this key area, the 3 skeleton key spot where the lighthouse is located. They can't get off that lighthouse without the aid of the boats that are coming to pick them up and supply them, which aren't due for a while. So they are stuck in this high-stakes, life-altering moment of life or death, facing this swarm of rats with limited weapons available. And we'll listen now to the final criteria of an inciting incident.
The 5th trait, it must be do or die. Your main character has no choice but to accept the challenge. The alternative is unacceptable. Someone dies, the world ends, or he loses the love of his life. Hopefully you're starting to realize how important your inciting incident is and why you need one.
So it certainly is do or die, again, in terms of their kind of trapped in this lighthouse with no rescue foreseeable. And it's a swarm of rats capable of possibly still getting through the wood, metal, and glass structure that's there. So what will happen in the next 20 minutes? We'll see how this inciting incident unfolds in terms of good story writing structure next week. So keep listening here to Media Mothership on Edge Radio. Coming up next, we'll have Adrian and his great show, You Can't Sit Down. But thanks for listening. This has been myself, Dr. Craig, host of Media Mothership for another week. Show notes, as always, will be available on the episode description via YouTube or Twitch, or go to the edgeradio.org.au site, as well as your podcast supplier of choice. And I'll put a link there to Sad Book Memes by Hannah Rogers, as well as the inciting incident theory by Jenkins for you to dive a little bit deeper into. So again, I hope you've enjoyed listening to this pop culture deep dive into memes and inciting incident storytelling theory. As I said, you can check out more information from a book-oriented slant on millennial think from a younger youth culture perspective with Hannah and Miranda every Wednesday at 10 a.m. And also around the corner, we'll have Tazpop providing their own local cultural point of view around pop culture matters. So keep listening again on Edge Radio, as we'll have Adrian and You Can't Sit Down.